What's up, everybody? Unrested with the questions you requested. This is JFAC, Japan's frequently asked questions. Today we're talking about a little video that was on the internet recently by Vice, a kind of short documentary called High School Girls for Sale. I think I've gotten that video title perfectly correct. If I haven't, please correct me in the comments below. It was sent to me by a viewer who asked me to watch it and give my thoughts on it, something I'm always happy to do. As far as this video is concerned, I would like to say my overall judgment of it is it's kind of in a gray area as far as what it covers. So it's attempting to cover the selling and prostitution of high school or underage girls in Japan, wearing their high school uniform, either one they actually wear to their own very high school or one that they've bought for fetish purposes, etc. And this is true, this is a fact, a sad but true fact that it does go on in Japan. Sometimes this is runaways who are doing this, delinquents, kids who have escaped abusive family life, usually very hard situations that they run away from. They're not just like, oh, let me do this because it's glamorous. It's not considered super glamorous or anything like that. It is a way to make a lot of money very quickly. The amount men pay for these girls' times, even for parts of these girls' clothes, which they can purchase, is an extremely high amount. We're talking upwards of $500 to $1,000 or more. So it's not like, you know, they're 5 cents on the side of the street. At the same time, none of that makes it right. But at the same time, the gray area that it's not explored that I'd like to talk a little bit about in this video is the fact that some of the girls that they're showing in these videos are not necessarily prostitutes. For example, they are doing this in Akihabara, which sadly the host of the show mispronounces horribly, which I don't expect everybody in Japan to pronounce everything perfectly, especially if you're just visiting for a short time. But if you're going to do your whole report on one area, try to at least get that pronunciation right. Akihabara, not Akihabara, as he says. And he's filming some stuff where I know it's not prostitutes, it's a maid cafe. And Maid Cafe, I'd have to say, it's pretty darn innocent. So Maid Cafe is usually a cafe that centers around some sort of cosplay or some sort of theme or maybe even a fetish, and sometimes that does happen to be high school girls. These girls are not necessarily high school girl age. They may be upwards of 20, even as old as 30, dressed in high school girl uniforms. Now, of course, people don't usually ask their age when they go in there or find out if it's true or not, if they are really high school girls. But they go in there because they enjoy this type of uniform. They enjoy the whole fetish aspect of it. No touching goes on. At most, things that happen in these kind of cafes is you buy some lunch from them or dinner. Maybe some have breakfast. I'm not really too sure. And then they kind of chat with you a little bit. And some places you can request for them to sing songs or sing songs with them. It's a little bit strange for me. I've been in a couple, and honestly, I found it kind of uncomfortable. If I'm going to go and talk to a girl, I'm just going to go and talk to a girl. I'm not going to pay to talk to a girl. If I'm going to eat, I'm just going to go to eat. I'm not going to go there to try and talk up the waitress. But you know, to each their own. Hey, I'm not judging, but at the same time, I do want to try and say that those are pretty innocent. I really don't see huge problems with the whole maid cafes. Then what also the other aspects of gray areas that this video maker doesn't get into is the fact that there's different levels of relationships that these girls have with the people who buy their services. So I've written down a couple so that I can kind of go through and kind of explain a little bit better that they have what's called snack, chat, nap, massage, walk, and then eventually the highest one being sex, of course. Oh, and I guess there's dinner dates too. I didn't mention that. So you've got like snack bars. That's kind of like the just chatting up girls. You literally pay to go in and talk to girls, and that's all that's expected that's going to happen. Even minimal touching doesn't usually happen. Like not even like hands grazing each other or shoulders touched or anything like that. That's the same thing as far as a chat place goes. Usually you're just chatting with the girl, and it's kind of funny because even in the video they film a guy doing this, and I mean his talk is super innocent. The girl talks about how she just had a teeth whitening done, and he compliments her that her teeth are very nice and white now. I mean, the man is an older man, and she seems to be a younger girl, although the ages are never really identified of these girls if they actually are of high school age. A lot of times you're going to find that these girls are adult age and older. because most times the people who do these kind of bars and stuff don't want to risk the fact that they could get arrested for this. Under the Article 34.1.9 Child Welfare Act, putting a child in some sort of service that is under 18 that could endanger their life could actually get your whole place shut down. So they would actually be breaking the law if they did this. At the same time, yes, people still do get away with it, and yes, it still happens. And yes, sadly, girls do get really hurt in this business. Girls get killed in this business. I did a podcast interview one time with Generation Y over a series of gaijin hostesses who actually got raped and killed by this sort of serial murderer guy who frequented these kinds of bars. Anyway, there's massage bars, which there's authentic massages where you're just getting massages, and then there's massages with happy endings. I'm sure you can understand what that means. There's called Osan Sampo, Osan to Sampo, I should say, and that means to walk with the old man. I literally translate it. But to walk with old men. So an old man comes up and buys a chance to walk with you. Now, this is where area gets gray and gets kind of sketchy too, and something I would have to say I do not approve of, or I do not think is completely innocent. I'm not going to try and dodge this or step around or dance around it in a light manner. These walks often lead to sex. What they often lead to is a discussion or an agreement or a money proposal of consummating some sort of sexual intercourse, and that's the way that these take place. They're innocently sold off as a walk, as in we just go for a nice walk and chat each other up and get to know each other. No, let's not kid anybody with these. And again, sadly, there is times where these girls are underage. Now, personally, I think if an adult consenting woman wants to work the job of a prostitute, and their business is run in a safe manner, there's the proper laws put into order in which to protect these girls. There's the proper licensing. For example, some countries that legalize prostitution make girls get checked up, or even the men that do this too, checked up for any kind of STDs. I think if there is a certain amount of rules, and they've got to be strict and they've got to be hefty, but they can be put in place and make this safe in all manners as far as like abuse or violence or STDs. I think that can happen, but that's not what's being done in Japan. There's no such thing. So again, that's where it gets kind of really sketchy. There is no kind of protection or checking out of STDs. There is no protection as far as these girls go. There is some sort of situations where I've heard of girls who have drivers and stuff, like prostitutes who would sell themselves on like Craigslist would have in America, where they have a driver that they hire out and pay part of what they get, and what they do is they give that driver a check of it. So on top of that, those drivers sometimes act as security, and I wonder, these guys want to talk as loud as they possibly can. Yeah, you talked very nice and loud. Thank you so much. Thank you for talking as loud as you possibly could. If you want to be on the video, just ask to be on the video. Oh boy. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. And so I guess the thing I want to kind of end this video on, and it's a very good point, and Jake Adelson is on this video too, and he's someone who I find is a very legit source of news from Japan. Is always making sure that he's pretty concise and accurate with everything he reports, and he's part of this video. And a very good point that he makes with the host of this video at the very end is the video host, whose name I don't remember. Can't remember that at all. He comes in and he says, what do you think? A lot of Japanese people are probably going to say, I'm coming to this country and asking them to take on my country's ways, and my country's trying to affect them to change to become like my country, where this kind of stuff is illegal. And Jake Adelson makes a very good point. He says, well, they can say that if they want, but what the truth of the matter is they signed up to be part of the UN. And when they did, they signed a treaty that said that they would stop any human trafficking and protect the welfare of children. And if they want to agree to do that and sign that, then they need to follow through with that. And I think that makes a very, very good point from Jake's standpoint. That being said, this is JFAQ, Japan's Frequently Asked Questions. I am unrested with the questions you requested. Have a good one.
Sometimes you just got that feeling, you know? It's almost